All right, all right. I'm David Magee. This is a Little Crazy Podcast. Nobody arrives anywhere by accident. That's what I believe. You are here. We'll try to deliver something to you today. This is a special one. We have the Phoebe Goodwin. We'll put you on the hot seat today. This is all about you and your life. Phoebe, this is your life.
I love it that way.
You've been waiting for that. You've been waiting for that.
Oh, that's funny.
Phoebe, life transitions are some of the hardest things that we do in this journey of living. You told me once when you were in the middle of this journey you're making from where you're post-graduation from college, working, trying to be an adult, adjusting your social life. You told me once, you said, you almost apologized. You didn't want to complain about hard because somebody like me that's lost a child or other people like guests we've had on, you said something to the effect of, I don't want to claim this and say it's hard because it's not compared to everybody else. And I remember it's probably one of the better pieces of advice I've given you, which was telling you the truth, which is hard is hard. Hard is hard. And life transitions are truly some of the very hardest. My daughter, for example, Mary Hallie, who we've had on here, she's got another child on the way, and she has 3, 5 and under, about to have a 4th, and they're in a house demolition project because there was a leak in the house, and she's working, teaching music. And when I talk to her, she's happy and it's great, but it's also excruciating, and it's very difficult. Or when somebody starts a new job, life is hard, and hard feels emotionally difficult, even when it has many wins. And here you are. In what I've had a lot of involvement in with hiring a bunch of young people and having been involved in a lot of young people professionally and that I've known for different reasons in their lives, I find that one of the very hardest is the moment of graduation from college into the next year. Now, sometimes, I got to be honest, for some people it can last into a second year. Let's hope for you it's one.
Yeah, let's hope.
But this post-grad of you're kind of in a moment as a college student where you're surrounded by friends. You're finishing up in a sorority. You're kind of living a dream that, let's be honest, I don't know how real it is. Money is showing up in the bank account. You're functioning. I'm not saying you're not working for some and you were contributing other ways, but it's almost not real. And then graduation happens, this thing you've wanted. This thing you have worked for, and then it's like, oh my gosh, here it is. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put it perfectly where college isn't real. And for, 16, 18 years, that is the realest part of life. That's what all of life points to. You think about what AP classes you want to take in 8th grade, and you get in the accelerated class in 6th grade, all so that you can get into the college you want to go to.
All working to the pinnacle.
Right. So from the ages of 5 to 18, I was working for 4 years. My entire life was pointed to going to a university, getting a degree, and then the rest was just, that's where the sentence ended. Period. Like there was no, and then you're going to become a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. And I do have my journalism major. You don't have to go to grad school. There isn't a 4-year school you go to after.
I have friends in journalism that didn't even get a college degree. You don't even have to have that.
Right. And so I think there was this haziness about college where it was like, I'm finally where I've worked to be, and college is hard too. You have to work to make friends and work-life balance and school and drinking and drugs and relationships. There's so much that and everything is so centered on you. There's a William Magee Center there that offers you free counseling.
That will help you.
There is a student, the rec center, free workout classes, free gym equipment. Oh, and then you're learning from some of the greatest minds in America, and you're not thinking about how much it costs every time you walk in.
And if you need food, you're able to get it.
If you need food, I was in a sorority, I would walk downstairs. There were snacks. There was a frozen yogurt machine. There was an iced coffee machine. All of my friends were sitting at the table studying together. It was not real.
It was
And
nothing real about it. It's more like, what are we going to do for fun this weekend?
right. And so, you play pickleball at 11:30 in the afternoon. You take a nap every day. You maybe do some homework on a Thursday afternoon if you literally have nothing else to do. And so I guess that was just real life for me. That was the first time I'd been out of the house. That was my first taste of adulthood, of making grown-up decisions of who do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to lead? And those are big decisions. You're growing up a lot. You're choosing the people you want to be around. And for some people these people who are going to surround you for life, they're going to be friends for life. And so I think you're so preoccupied with all of these big changes you're experiencing for the first time, you're not thinking about when no one's making you dinner.
Yeah.
And that rent comes and you're not Venmo requesting your dad. And there are all of these bigger life decisions that were exclusively for your parents or exclusively for professors. Now this is on you. And so for my experience, I had a pretty unique experience where I got my first job in November of my senior year. So my entire spring semester, I wasn't worried about my job. I knew where I was going to be.
Which most students that are a senior in college, the majority that does not happen.
Right. Some still don't have a job, and which is totally fine.
Yeah.
That happens. And
But I talk to a lot of them, and they have their own feelings about that, which it almost seems like a gift because it allows them, but it doesn't feel that way when they're looking around.
Right. And so I think the other thing was all of my friends, we had been on the same 4-year trajectory. We were all freshmen together, then sophomores, then juniors and seniors. And then we graduate on Saturday. I leave Oxford on Monday, and I come back that next Saturday and move in for who knows how long. It was kind of one of this thing of...
So you came back you left the community where you were a college student. You go away for a blink just to get the picture right. You show back up days later.
Literally 4 days later, and I'm
like
a
you're
different
wearing
person.
A different costume.
Yes, I'm wearing a different hat, but it's the same place.
It's the same place, and you are the same person, but it's like you've been put in the whole stage has changed. It's like you were performing in one play and it just shifted and you're now a leading character in a whole other play.
Right.
But what happens truly when you're in college, you believe and feel like you're a leading character a lot of times.
Yeah.
Not every student does, but some do. And certainly in that world you described, it's easy to think like we're kind of in the center of the universe. And you came back in a play where when you come back and show up as an adult in that, you're not the center of the universe. Right. I don't mean you specifically. Of course you are, but you understand what I'm saying.
In this episode, I am the center of the universe.
Yeah, you definitely literally are in this episode.
But it was this crazy, it was whiplash. That was the only
emotional
way
whiplash.
I could describe it, where I drove down the same streets. I was sobbing driving down with all my friends being like, we're never going to do this again. And we're not going to
And then
live
you
together.
didn't.
And we didn't. And so that was really hard. The only way I can describe the feeling of graduating and starting the job was I was holding on to like a light post with my arms and someone is yanking my body, like pulling me. And I'm like, I'm not old enough. Okay, I am not qualified. I don't know what I'm doing. It was like someone put a mask on me to act like someone I didn't even recognize. And they're like, well, this is who you are now, and you need to go do this.
In a light switch flips.
Literally in the matter of 4 days.
Doesn't matter how amazing your job is, and I know it's amazing. It doesn't matter how. That's why this episode is so important, because you can have something that you want and you work for toward this college graduation, and seemingly it's everything. And yes, it's not a tragedy, but it doesn't mean that it's not emotionally hard. And nor does it mean when it's emotionally hard that there's not such amazing growth and so many happy moments in it.
And I think that was the balance where the first months, it literally felt like I was sleepwalking. Okay, I'm showing up to work. Did I do that right? Is that what work is? I had worked internships. I've worked jobs before.
But it's different.
But that's clock in, clock out after school. This is my life. Like, I go 8 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever it may be that day. And that's the day. Yeah. Like, that's what the day's revolved around is work. And that's what I'm being paid for.
No pickleball.
No. And it really was this, I've just never felt so unqualified.
Mm-hmm.
It seriously was like the most insane case of imposter syndrome
Mm-hmm.
I've ever felt. And it was just like, oh, this is happening. But here's the catch. I was doing it alone.
Right.
None of my friends had jobs.
Mm-hmm.
All of my friends were at home or in Italy or Paris or London.
Whole different kind of hard.
Going into being with their families, you know, processing college being
Right.
over, looking for jobs, being in this space of
All
comfort.
wishing, though, because I know a lot of them and I know a lot of students in similar, I just talked to a lot of students who graduate. Most of the ones that I know in those scenarios are having all kind of different pain of wishing they had a job because they
Right.
feel unworthy in their own way around that is,
Obviously,
I graduated
yeah.
from college, what am I going to do?
Right. And the grass is always greener,
Yes.
truly.
Right.
You know, whether you have a job, whether you don't. It was just this thing of, I have no one to talk
Well,
to
you're
about
doing it
this.
alone because you're with a bunch of actual
Right,
adults.
right. Actually,
they're actual adults.
and they're like, let me think back to my 20s. Oh, yeah, that was awful. And I'm like, yeah, well, now you have a husband and 5 kids,
Yeah.
and you do this as a part-time job.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and not that there aren't issues.
Can
There's
I
always
ask
problems.
you something, like, just generationally?
Mhm.
Are we spoiling college students in this generation today? We didn't experience quite as much of this when I was younger because, frankly, we had it a lot more simple. Maybe back in the day at SMU, they had it differently. I don't know. But I can promise you, when I came out of Ole Miss, we were just kind of like trying to get the tires on the Buick Regal and get it rolling down the road and get a. I mean, I just wonder.
Yeah,
Are we making it too easy?
I mean, I definitely think it's making the transition way harder. I didn't, especially Greek life. I mean,
That's actually
literally
specifically, I think,
would
what I'm talking about.
never go back and change my decision ever.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. I had so many leadership opportunities
Yeah.
that
And friends.
has helped me in my job now. I've made friends that are amazing. And college is really hard. And if you are working and studying and doing a really, really, really hard major that's really time demanding, and you have all of these extracurriculars, you literally can't feed yourself. And so having the option of
Sure.
that. But I mean, yeah, I was 100% spoiled rotten.
Yeah.
My parents would come to Oxford and they'd be like, okay, we're eating at Trident because we're paying for this. And
Yeah,
that's where we're going to
let's
be
go.
eating.
Let's go do it. And it's not even, though, that something can be amazing, but everything can be improved. And I think that, so here's what I see a lot of. Again, I have a perch in a college community for years working with a whole lot of students. I see young men and young women, and I do not mean at the University of Mississippi. I mean, because I've been fortunate that I get to work with students all over the country. I'm telling you pretty consistently. And I also don't mean one demographic. I see it. I see this in demographics from economics all the way up and down. But I see young people that I'm going to call them life skills.
Yeah.
I see a real void of life skills. I see a 23-year-old, 22, 23-year-old college graduate, young man or woman, getting a paycheck, and they don't really understand what to do with it or how it got there. And if somebody hands them a paper check, they don't really even know how to get that into a banking system. And you know, how do I prepare? Think about what I will eat for the week.
Right.
Just how do I plan? I mean, emotionally, or wait, there's a football game and I don't have a pack of friends to go with. What do I even do with myself?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was kind of some of the biggest whiplash was I was paying for everything now. I had a paycheck. I had my own insurance through my job. Like everything that I was buying, I was providing for myself. And it was sort of this weird, but it's turned liberating thing where I really want to go to New York. Oh, wait, I have money. I can go to New York.
That is your choice.
That is my
That's
choice.
your
I
choice.
don't really have to text my mom
Yes.
if I can, but
Yes.
that I am,
Yes.
you know, and that is this sort of freedom of like, can I really take 5 days of PTO and drive across the country and get paid for it?
Right.
Yeah, I can.
You can.
And so I think there's this, and it only happens with time. You know, there are so many things. Yes, budgeting, cooking, meal planning, those things. Yeah, there should be classes for it, or you should be more prepared to do that. But also, you can't really rush post-grad. It's just hard. And you have to let it be hard. And I think that has been one of the toughest things because I'm just an impatient person. I like to get to the good quick.
Oh, not me.
Yeah, not you eating all the caramel cake.
No. Yeah, no, not me.
I'm kidding.
I am not impatient at all.
Yeah. So I think that has just been hard because July rolled around and I was like, this is forever. This isn't just like a internship or
I think I remember having a conversation with you at one point, and I could tell you were struggling or something, and I said to you, you do realize you're waiting on nothing.
Yeah.
You're there now.
Right.
You are in charge.
Right.
And to be fair, I still have to remind myself that I'm in charge of myself at 59. And I think even saying that to you that day, that's why these discussions of growth and how people grow even help me, just getting out of your mouth, because I think we all have to remind ourselves, I'm in charge of me.
Right.
And when you understand and feel that freedom, it can often empower you in these moments of transition because you can get in transition and you can feel like things are happening to you. Again, it doesn't matter how great it is. You can go land the most amazing job. You can go land all this stuff and be walking the path that you should be on, and it's time to go on.
Right.
But it can be hard. It's just freeing to think, if I want to stop any of this at any minute, go to New York or actually go to a whole different state for good, you can.
Right. And I think that was a really liberating thing to learn and realize that if I'm unhappy, then I need to do something, because I used to live in this world where if I was unhappy, I would tell my advisor, I'd tell my teacher, I'd tell my friends, I'd tell the house mom, I'd tell my professor, and they would do something for me.
You would have
they
a
would
crutch.
Change. Right.
You would have your parents. I mean, let's be honest.
Right. If I was like, Mom, I don't like this, then she would
help you find a
help
solution.
me find a solution. She would bring me a plate of apples and peanut butter. Like, there was this coddling.
You've heard my thing, the most sad, heartbreaking thing, because we talked about it in one episode early on, that when I found my Williams journal, when he died of an accidental drug overdose, and here was an honors college graduate who'd been on the Ole Miss track team, Croft Institute, fluent in Spanish. He achieved so much. And I have to look back and go, how many of those achievements were my achievements? Because he wrote in a journal, not in a negative way, in a realizing way. My dad made most of my decisions for me. And he was in treatment, trying to understand that he had to develop an empowering decision-making mechanism. And that's not unlike what you've been going through and what so many students go through. I bet I've talked to dozens who are your age, because every year I get to talk to dozens and follow them along. I have good news for you and bad news. I share this to let any parent that has a student that is worried about how they're adjusting to adulthood. The good news is you're not alone, because the bad news is about 100% of the young people that I know that are in this transition, or about like the last 100% I've known in recent years, they're all struggling. I saw one just recently who told me, I'm really struggling, and on paper, they have so much, but they feel so alone.
Right. Well, you feel alone because there's no trajectory. Your whole life you've been told you go to high school, sometimes you go to college, and then there's nothing past that. Like I said earlier, that's the end of the sentence. And so, especially when we live in a country that you can do anything at any point, you can pick up and go, that's crippling. That makes you want to hide in a ditch and never get out and just sleep in your parents' house forever. Because what if I don't go to the right place? What if I don't go?
That's a good question. And I meant to ask you, is there a fear when you are free and you think, okay, well, I have graduated. I am an adult. Okay, a trip to New York, buy a plane ticket, 5 days, big win. Congratulations. But then the bigger steps.
Yeah.
it's important for me to tell you as an old person, it's okay to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean fail hard. Hey, I've done it. I've failed so hard and I am okay. Like I've failed miserably. I mean, I've lost everything and I am okay, and I'm grown from it and I'm stronger from it. And it's so important. And so I'm saying this to you, but I'm speaking to all young people or anybody. It's like I told my daughter the other day, you know, parents to friends to everybody else, we want you to never fail. But failing is the healthiest thing we'll ever do. Like what you've just described has not been a year of failure, but what it's been is a year of profound growth.
Absolutely. I definitely think so much growth comes when I realize, oh, wait, I'm paying rent a lot easier. I'm budgeting, I'm planning, I'm being responsible. I'm, doing things I wouldn't have even dreamed of doing, and taking, the reins of my days and my time and what I do and how I fill them. And
have you learned to say no yet?
yeah.
Have you said no?
My
yeah,
gosh.
Talk to me. That's the power.
Yes.
You're growing up.
I
you are
have
growing
learned to
up,
say
Phoebe.
no. Me and my friends talk about this all the time, where after you work 8 to 9 hours a day, your social battery is very, very low.
Tell me.
That sometimes we will all say this. All we want to do is crawl in bed, not talk to anyone, stare at our phone, read a book, watch a movie, and fall asleep at 7:30 p.m.
Absolutely.
And so,
hey, that's my life every day.
it's kind of freeing. But I went from this life of yes, 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 yes. I am so free. I have the energy to do this. I have the social battery. This is normal. My stamina is up. Now I'm at a spot. I don't have that.
Yes.
So the people I'm friends with are the people I'm friends with.
You don't have time for it, and that is a hard lesson, and I'm very proud of you. See, you are growing up.
I am.
You are becoming an adult. It is happening before
I go to sleep
our
at
eyes.
9:15, so I think that qualifies me as an adult.
Well, that's a big change.
I know.
That's happened in months.
It really has, and there's so much freedom on the other side of no. My mom always told me no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself.
You do not have to.
And
Your
you can
mom
just
and I
say
agree,
no.
I'm sure, on a lot, but we really agree on that. And I think that with my own journey and my children and their maturity and all of us, I think we even just got stronger together. You have to be able to say it within your family. You have to be able to say it to friends, and that is the ultimate freedom.
I think I've also just learned more about what I require, to make it through a day. I'm not seeing tons of people all the time and being active all the time and being creative all the time. So what parts of those do I have to implement for myself in each day to feel fulfilled and to feel tired at the end of the day?
Because some personalities, most of us are not, but my personality and my DNA, I don't have the ability to work all day and then go do this intense social thing. My personality requires a lot of downtime and ability. I think you're the same way, right? You can totally be there, and then it feels like you're there, but then you can start, I would guess, for different personality types to feel overwhelmed and exhausted and kind of need it to stop.
Right. And I think that has been very interesting to see what recharges my battery, because it used to just be you drain your battery and then you go to sleep and you wake up and you sleep until 10:30, your battery is full, and then you go all day.
Yeah.
And so now that's not the case, and I do have to work to recharge my battery at the end of the day, because I can't go to sleep at 5 p.m. I can't stare at my phone all day. I can't watch a movie in bed, be alone, close the door. And so it's been a really difficult season of experimenting with hobbies and trying to figure out, how do I be creative when it's not an assignment? How do I write when it's not an assignment? How do I write without a workshop?
And I've watched you do that, and congratulations. You forced yourself with a Substack newsletter. Tell us the name.
Do Walk on the Grass by Phoebe Goodwin.
There you go. The Phoebe Goodwin. The Phoebe Goodwin. And,
Yes.
and I'm proud of you for that, because as a writer, you have to force yourself. And if you don't, and look, you learned that at a young age, and you did that. So you're light years ahead. And you did it at a time when you were fatigued and you did have too much going on, but you did it. And so you have to learn to kind of force some muscles to use them a
Absolutely.
little bit, or you're not sure what you, like you said, what does recharge me.
Right. Well, and you're going through this stage where, like you were saying, this might be one of the biggest transitions I ever go through or have ever gone through in my life. I'm obviously going to be feeling a lot of things. And
You
for
will.
me, like, I think I'm not a huge Swiftie, okay? But she puts it so well when she says in her song 22, which I'm 22, that she's happy, free, confused, and lonely at the same time. It's this conglomerate of emotion, and
Right.
it's good and bad and scary and lonely and literally I'm confused, I don't know what I'm doing. It's
All
literally
of
all of those
those.
things, and it's at the same time you're like, what do I do? What do I
Yeah.
do? How do I Okay, I feel a little more confident in my job. Okay, now I'm going to try and venture out into friends. How do I find friends? What do I want to get involved in? Do I want to get involved with a church? Okay, what kind of church?
And
The
the expectations of others, and I'm not
Mhm.
just referring to you because I think you do that well. I watch, well, all of us at any age, but if you're a young person, it's even harder. You want to please everybody in your ecosystem.
Yeah.
You just do. But you know what? I told my children it's so important. Again, I'm not referring to you and your family. I'm just talking about young
In
people in
general, right.
general, or any of
Well,
us.
because it's what you're raised to do.
It,
You're raised to please and raised to
you
appease and do all of
are,
that.
and truly you are. And I tell everybody, and I especially tell my son Hudson, for example, when my son Hudson was younger. I mean, you've heard me say many times, he is my role model. He is the most amazing. I respect him and love him so much, and I want to be him. I get to be him because I get to live with him and do life with him in so many ways. But if I had drawn up on paper what his life, like down to how he would dress. I mean, I never
Mhm.
see him without a hat on his
Yeah.
head. He's more casual. He's amazing.
Mhm.
He got a college degree I never would have imagined, but he excels at all of it, and I wouldn't change any of it. But
Mhm.
as a parent, I would not have known.
Right.
And so I try to tell young people is you don't even know yourself, and so much of it is the growth that you're going through. I think I told you a couple of months ago. It's like you might feel like these aren't your best months. They probably you probably have the power in your hands to make them your most extraordinary by far.
Mhm.
That you so I look back to when I found sobriety on my own.
Mhm.
I was all on my own, and I had to live as an adult just like you are now, which makes me, that may be why I get to communicate with students so well. I laugh sometimes. Somebody said once, "How do you communicate with college students so well and high school students?" And I say, "I think because I'm like reverse engineered.
Yeah.
I'm just now growing up. I may not look like on the top of my head that's the case, but maybe emotionally and stuff that was the case." And, what you learn is my most extraordinary time of growth was when I had all of these confused, lonely, but I'm free and
Mhm.
I'm in charge of me feelings. And it was so hard. But then when you look back and you think, that was probably actually harder than I realized
Mhm.
emotionally, but I did it and I did it on my own. You will be better and stronger in a marriage if you have one day. You will be stronger as a parent. You will be stronger in so many ways because you can draw back on. I was just on a trip by myself for like 6 days, and I was writing a new project. I almost talked to nobody for 6 days.
Mm.
Now, anybody that's a creative will say that's a dream and a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dream. It's a
Yeah.
dream. But I didn't go to any emotion. I didn't go to any emotionally weak spot. I kind of marveled at myself several times and not even for a blink did I consider, oh, I could go over here and have a drink, or I could do that, or I just kind of had strong, hot lava burning within me of focus and cherishing the time in writing and
Mhm.
creating this whole new book that I realized I got to do it better than I've done before. And how can I do it? And I couldn't have done that without that time.
Mhm.
And I've watched you grow in this, and young people that will step into it like you or anybody, that's in this transition, you will look back in some of those feelings of the happy and free, but the confused and lonely as well. You will look back, I believe, Phoebe, and think, that was maybe my best time.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just wait and see on
Are you
that
there
note.
yet?
Not yet. But I think some of the best advice I got just entering into this year of like, because I think a lot of people, they start their first job or they move to a city or they, have been dreaming of working at a company and they get there and they're like, how do I know if this is right? How do I know if this is good? When do I leave? When do I know if I should quit? When should I? When should I? When should I? And I got the best advice, and it was like, keep both feet on the ground and be curious. Like, someone told me, if God wanted someone else to work the job you are working, he would have had someone else. Like, you are the woman for the job. Now just be curious why you're there. And that was it. And that just took the anxiety of, I don't have to know how long it's going to be, the exact logistics, who I'm going to meet, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to achieve, how I'm going to fail. It was just wake up, both feet on the ground, be curious, and then the next day do the same thing.
And you don't know.
And you
see,
don't know,
that's
and
the
that's
thing.
okay.
Yeah, because part of the problem is that when you are on the path, as you said, you're working AP courses. I'm going to go to college. I'm focused on those 4 years and all aiming at this graduation and stepping into this transition. The challenge is that all of us who've had some life experience realize none of it ever matches up to the plan of the picture. And so what happens when you're young, and we train you all on, these are the steps you will go through, you can't help but see life as that. And then it's like suddenly just pulled away.
And I think there's this misconception that life only happens when you're doing what you want to be doing and you're happy and you're not afraid and you're not uncomfortable. But I read this essay where it was like, life is staring at a decision so scary. All you want to do is put your head under your covers.
Absolutely.
In your childhood home. Like, that is life. And so I think a lot of people my age are shying away from the uncomfortable sense of post-grad of, I'm just not going to work because it's too hard. I just want to stay at home. I just want to do this.
And don't want even maybe an unimpressive job.
Right.
Or, but the truth of the matter is we grow and end up in places a lot of times with things that aren't the perfect picture and we don't want. Like I actually don't know anybody that would say they have. I'm pretty close. Maybe you do achieve a point in life. I'm pretty close to saying, things just are wonderful where I wouldn't go change too many, some, but not too many. But But my point is, I'm a very happy person, and I still could give a few. So I don't think that's told enough. Is it doesn't exist.
Right, and I think there is this belief of this perfect job or this perfect person or this perfect place. But how are you going to know if you don't get outside and try?
How will you know if you don't get outside?
You've got to work some jobs you hate so that you know what it feels like to work a job you love.
That's it.
And I'm not saying, oh, I have everything figured out or I hate this job or I love this job. It's still in the unknown.
You don't even know.
And that's kind of the beauty of, I'm figuring it out and that's okay. I've got both feet on the ground. I'm here in Oxford today and I'm curious with where I am. And that's the best I can be. And then who knows where I'm going to be in 10 years or 5 years or in 8 years, And
you don't even know. I'm sitting here a happy person, and I experienced losing a child to a drug overdose. I experienced divorce and a remarriage. I experienced career interruption. I experienced a daughter that battled eating disorder. I experienced cancer. They cut a part of me off for cancer. An embarrassing part that I have to walk around and people seeing my shirt, that I'm
It is not noticeable,
missing.
David.
It is. Like,
David,
I'm
it's
gonna,
literally
one day
you.
I'll
I
post
swear.
this picture up on a website and see. But see, I'm conscious of that.
Yeah.
Right? And even though I do take my shirt off at the beach and go walking down. But I am conscious of it because I see their eyes cutting over there. Oh, is that me?
I think it's you.
I've never even had a ringer
I
on
know.
my phone. That's so funny because do you know how often I have a ringer on my phone?
How often?
Like never. So
Really?
I didn't even know it was my phone. I'm so old.
Yeah, you're getting old.
And it's like it's Hudson, my son, FaceTiming me, which means it was probably one of my grandchildren. I probably should have answered it, actually. Let's see. Oh, my gosh, it is. Wilder. My grandson, Wilder, calling me. Wilder, are you calling Dee Dee? Say hi to
Hey,
Phoebe.
Wilder.
Are you calling to tell Dee Dee something? You ate turkey? That's your first time ever? Oh, Wilder, I'm so proud of you. You ate turkey. All right, Dee Dee loves you. Bye-bye. That is too
He
funny.
ate turkey.
That he ate turkey. He has a diet like you.
He has it. I know. I'm really trying.
And he
I've gotten
called
better.
me to tell me that he ate turkey.
That
That's such a big deal that he's 6 years old. He called me to tell his grandfather that he ate turkey for the first time. That's life transition, Phoebe. You like turkey though.
I do like turkey. I will say I do like turkey.
We've been through the life of Phoebe.
Yes.
If I don't say this enough, you've done a lot as we start a new year. I'm just so thankful that as you talk about that year, that you took the chance on me and this podcast, and I'm so glad you're a part of it. And it was fun having this conversation with you, and I think it'll be fun, all the conversations to have. And we can't wait. This journey of the life of Phoebe and where you go will be so fascinating.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I'm always happy to be here. I've learned so much and still have so much to learn. So.
Yeah. All right. Check us out, alittlecrazy.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Follow us. Like our podcast. Follow it. Do all those. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you coming back to see us next time.